Well, nationally they account for about a fifth of all cyclist fatalities. In London it's more than a half. So a very substantial proportion of the fatality problem in London is down to HGVs. Not a lot. The Transport for London has only really clocked the importance of this issue within about the past year. They have started making manoeuvres. They have started incorporating cycle awareness training, actual cycle training into what's known as their Freight Operators Recognition Scheme, FORS. It's a good scheme. We hope that it will turn out to be at least a part of the solution, but there is so much more that needs to be done around the fitting of equipment onto lorries, sensors and cameras, training of lorry drivers, and simply reducing the number of lorries on London's roads using traffic restrictions. It's probably one of the scariest things that happens, particularly to a less confident cyclist, and really an important part of cycle training is to make sure that cyclists get the message that pulling up on the inside of a lorry is just not a safe thing to do. But when it comes to fatalities, we get so little information about whether it was the cyclist pulled up alongside the lorry or the lorry pulled up alongside the cyclist, because usually that information is being kept under wraps for a trial. So we really don't get good data about to what extent this is down to the cyclist or the lorry drivers. We definitely know of a number of cases where the lorry driver was convicted of a crime. It's very difficult, though, to translate anecdotes into data. Generally, though, for collisions with drivers, not necessarily lorry drivers, the police attribute blame to when the cyclist is an adult over age 25. They attribute blame to the driver in about 60–70% of collisions, to the cyclists in less than 30%, and a bit of both in about 10%. The penalties are a perennial problem. Actually, the reasons why that happens are much more about problems that happen before the case even gets to court. Problems with police investigations, decisions to charge the driver with a careless rather than the dangerous driving offence, juries that tend to think there for the grace of God go I and tend to sympathise with the driver. We're collecting a lot of these cases on what's known as our Stop SMIDSI website. SMIDSI stands for Sorry Mate, I Didn't See You, the excuse so often given by bad drivers when they've just hit you, because we want to make the case that the legal system needs to send out much clearer signals about the unacceptability of driving which causes danger to other road users. The Freight Transport Association, the Mineral Products Association, they don't want their members to be killing cyclists either, because quite frankly it's actually very costly for a delivery firm when they do kill a cyclist, in PR terms, in legal terms and so on. They have a strong interest in solving the problem. We may be more concerned about it, have a stronger personal concern, clearly. What we're doing is pushing the arguments that things need doing about the design of lorries, the sensors and the mirrors, the training of both cyclists and lorry drivers alike, reducing the number of lorries on particularly the roads of our major cities, and strengthening traffic law enforcement so that when unacceptable behaviour happens, the legal system responds in an adequate way. It is very difficult to know why there seems to have been a tailing off in the improvement in cycle safety that had been going on in London over the past 10 years. Over those 10 years, 150% increase in cycling on London's main roads, 21% reduction in the numbers of fatal and serious injuries. And then suddenly it seems to have, that safety in numbers effect seems to have waned in the last 2 or 3 years for no obvious reason. It may be that we're now getting such a diversity in who is cycling, with more and more people who are relatively inexperienced, and that the safety of conditions on London's roads is no longer adequate for what was previously a relatively male-dominated, reasonably athletic and cycling population, and that London's cycling infrastructure now needs to start catching up much more seriously. There is so much more to